Hello folks. Several days ago, my old pal Tom gave us his story of it trying to find information on a hitherto unknown relative who did not survive the First World War. His story is representative of many hundreds where families have little knowledge of past family members or even how to research. And when they do try, they often find themselves led up blind alleys. All things being equal, if they knew a few of the resources open to them, they could usually find their lost relative within minutes. That's not to say that there can't be problems, for as Tom discovered, the spelling of a surname led him up a blind alley. Thankfully, a helpful viewer sorted it out. When Lord Kitchener made his first appeal for 100,000 new recruits, more than 1 million men applied within weeks. It was simply a matter of giving your name to the desk clerk, and if he got it wrong, as so many did, his spelling remained on your military records. You knew how to spell your name, but the recruitment clerk didn't always. However, I'll come to some of those problems later. Now with the records in his hand, Tom was able to determine that 2 local memorials he'd previously dismissed have his uncle's name on them. And as you view them, you can immediately see the difficulty. 1 town, 1 man, 2 memorials, and 2 different spellings. And as we've just seen, it was easy enough to get into the website, have a little look around, and then scroll down to our form after a couple of clicks. Fill in the form, and I put in 3 references, and then it was just a matter of hitting the search button. Straight away, I had a list of names came up, and our man was amongst them. The whole thing took less than 2 minutes, and the nice thing is that at the end you can go into the cemetery where the man is laid and get his grave number as well. So all very easy. So let's go back to the problem area I mentioned earlier, the spelling of a surname. As Tom discovered, he believed his uncle's name was Gilmore, O-R-E, but his search came up blank. When he learnt that it was Gilmore, O-U-R, that was a different story, and all came good. However, that does not explain why 2 memorials had different spellings, but this is fairly easy to explain. 1 memorial was erected in the local church grounds by those who knew the family, presumably the family church members. With the second one, the name was taken from an unknown source by those who didn't necessarily know the family, almost certainly the local town council. So that's problem number 1. Problem number 2, and I'll use a fictitious example. James Agnew was underage, and his parents forbade him from joining up, so he ran away and signed up under a false name, as many thousands did. The problem is rather sad, because when James was killed, he was literally lost forever. Not knowing what name he chose meant that there was no record of this particular James Agnew. Problem 3 is in similar vein. For whatever reason, some men did not want to be known, and to secure their anonymity went to another part of the country and signed up with a false name, so they too would be lost forever. Fortunately for Tom, neither of these was the case, but because of the spelling, Tom was all at sea. Most military researchers are aware of these pitfalls, so they take different spellings on board. If they can't find a record under one spelling, they'll try with an alternative. The key to your research has to be via the proper names, for without those you could be in for a long, hard, time-consuming trawl with no guarantee of success. The more information you have, the easier it will be. Knowing which branch of the services is obviously a help, as is date of death, regiment, unit, place killed, next of kin, place of birth, residence, and etc. Most of those details will be on his service record and ultimately on the War Dead Register. Now let's come away from the Commonwealth war graves and look at another possible and valuable research source. Firstly, don't overlook regimental service records, if you know which one. Many regiments have long been disbanded, but the records are still available, and in most cases the curators will undertake a search for you and ask a small fee for the task. Just look for the specific regiment to find out where the records can be found. The same thing applies to most service branches like the Royal Navy, Royal Air Force and others. Just be aware that while these records will give details of promotions, overseas placements, transfers, etc., they may also show punishments, demotions and any form of bad behaviour. In the lead up to the First World War Centenary 2014, many local historians and dedicated interest groups volunteered to update their county records of the fallen, where such lists had ever been made. A colleague and myself viewed an existing list for our county, which we found was inaccurate and had fallen short with only 1,300 men recorded. The project took us 3 years to complete, as far as could then be ascertained, with a total of 2,039 names filling 107 pages, each with 19 entries and a few handwritten additions, as you can see by my open but very faded file above, along with a small section done for this video. Our list, like many others throughout the country, was then given to both the county and local town libraries for anyone to research. So it's always worthwhile to check with your county or local library for a similar listing. The usual layout, detail and format will normally be identical in most of them.